Imagine a company so powerful it had its own army, printed its own money, and ruled over 300 million people. No, this isn't science fiction. This is the true story of the world's first mega corporation that made Amazon look like a lemonade stand. And it all started with a cup of tea. December 31st, 1600. While most people were celebrating New Year's Eve, Queen Elizabeth I signed a document that would change the world forever. She gave 218 British merchants permission to trade with India. The company's name? The East India Company. Their initial investment? Just £72,000. That's about $12 million in today's money. Within 250 years, they would control a territory worth over $45 trillion in today's economy. But here's the crazy part. They weren't even the first. The Portuguese and Dutch were already there. The British were late to the game. So how did a bunch of tea traders become rulers of an empire? The East India Company had something others didn't. A brilliant business model. They didn't just buy and sell spices. They played the long game. In 1608, Captain William Hawkins arrived at the court of Mughal Emperor Jahangir. Instead of demanding trade rights, he brought gifts, learned Persian, and became the emperor's drinking buddy. Yes, you heard that right. He literally became friends with the most powerful man in India. By 1615, they got their first trading post in Surat, then Madras in 1639, Bombay in 1668, Calcutta in 1690. But they weren't building stores. They were building fortresses. Each trading post came with walls, cannons, and private armies. Walmart with missiles, essentially. June 23, 1757. This is the date everything changed. The Nawab of Bengal, Siraj-ud-Dowlah, controlled one of the richest regions in the world. His treasury had more gold than the British crown. He had 50,000 soldiers. The East India Company? Just 3,000 troops led by Robert Clive. The odds, 17 to 1. But Clive didn't fight fair. He did something genius and evil at the same time. He bribed the Nawab's commander, Mir Jafar, with promises of power. On the day of battle, Mir Jafar's 40,000 soldiers just stood there. They watched as their own ruler was defeated. The battle lasted less than 11 hours. British casualties? 23 dead. And just like that, a corporation defeated a kingdom. Clive went home with £234,000 in personal loot. That's $400 million today. The company took control of Bengal's entire treasury. They didn't conquer India with superior military might. They bought it with betrayal and bribes. By 1765, the Mughal emperor himself gave them the right to collect taxes from 20 million people. A private company was now collecting government revenue. Imagine if Apple suddenly had the power to tax California. By the early 1800s, the East India Company was the most powerful corporation in human history. They controlled all trade between Britain and Asia, an army of 260,000 soldiers, twice the size of the British Army, a territory of 5 million square kilometers, 300 million subjects. That's the entire US population today. They printed their own money, made their own laws, declared wars, executed criminals. They were a government disguised as a business. Their headquarters in London? More powerful than Parliament. Company executives became richer than kings. One Governor General, Warren Hastings, was put on trial for making so much money that even other corrupt officials were shocked. The opium trade alone made them $1 billion annually in today's money. They grew opium in India, smuggled it into China. And when China tried to stop them, the British government literally started wars, the Opium Wars, to protect the company's drug business. Yes, the British Empire fought wars to protect a corporation's right to sell drugs. That's how powerful they were. But absolute power corrupts absolutely. 1770. The Bengal famine. Company policies caused the deaths of 10 million people, 1/3 of Bengal's population. They raised taxes by 60% during a drought, forced farmers to grow cash crops instead of food. And when people starved, they exported grain for profit. 10 million dead. For profit margins. 1857, the Indian Rebellion. For 100 years, Indians suffered under company rule. Exploitative taxes, forced labor, cultural destruction. Finally, Indian soldiers in the company's own army rebelled. The revolt was brutal. Massacres on both sides. Cities burned. Families destroyed. The company crushed the rebellion, but the violence was so extreme that even the British public was horrified. Newspapers in London called them corporate tyrants. The British government realized they had created a monster. August 2nd, 1858. Queen Victoria issued a proclamation. The East India Company was dissolved. The British Crown would now directly rule India. After 258 years, the world's most powerful corporation was shut down by an act of parliament. Why? Because they had become too powerful, too corrupt, and too dangerous, even for their own government. The company that started with £72,000 and 218 merchants ended up losing everything. Their stock became worthless overnight. Their executives lost their fortunes. Their private army was absorbed into the British military. It took another 16 years for the legal paperwork to finalize, but by 1874, the East India Company was completely erased from existence. India remained under British rule for another 89 years until independence in 1947. The total economic drain during British rule, economists estimate $45 trillion was extracted from India. But here's what's truly wild. The East India Company's legacy never really died. Their business model, private corporations with government-like powers, inspired every major corporation today. The concept of limited liability, East India Company. Stock market speculation, East India Company. Corporate lobbying, East India Company pioneered it. Amazon has its own delivery network and cloud infrastructure. Google has more data on people than most governments. Tech companies today have market caps larger than entire countries' GDPs. Sound familiar? The East India Company's story is a warning from history. It shows what happens when we allow corporations to become more powerful than governments. When profit becomes more important than people. When private interests control public resources. They started as traders. They became conquerors. They ended as tyrants. The question we should ask ourselves today: are we watching history repeat itself? When tech companies influence elections, when pharmaceutical companies set healthcare policies, when private contractors run wars, where's the line between business and government? The East India Company was dissolved because they crossed that line. They became too big to control. Have we learned that lesson? Or are we building new East India Companies right now, just with different names? One last thing that'll blow your mind. In 2010, an Indian businessman bought the rights to the East India Company name and relaunched it as a luxury brand selling tea and coffee. That's right. The company that ruled 300 million people, caused famines, fought wars, and extracted trillions, is now selling $20 tea bags online. From empire to e-commerce. That's the ultimate rise and fall. If you found this story fascinating, there are dozens more like this throughout history. Subscribe, hit the bell icon, and let me know in the comments. What modern company do you think could become the next East India Company? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.